Hey friends, summer is here, and let's be real, schedules can get crazy in the summer. We can just get out of our normal routines. If you have kids, they're out of school, maybe you have vacations planned, cookouts, road trips, all the normal routines and habits that we have can so easily go out the window. But today I want to talk about how to stay consistent with your health and your weight loss goals, even when life gets crazy. And you guys, I just want to remind you that even though summer is ahead, you don't have to let summer throw you off track or stop you from starting or maintaining a health journey. And especially if you're not where you want to be with your health, that's a sign that you might need some extra support, especially if what you're doing isn't working and you feel like you're spiraling and trying like the same things and nothing seems to be working. Sometimes trying it all on our own is tough. And if you've been trying to figure this out by yourself and you're still feeling stuck, you're not alone. I offer a free coaching call where we can start to talk about your goals, what's getting in the way, and some simple steps that you can take to move forward. So if you're feeling unsure after this episode, or you just want to make sure you're right on the path, there's going to be a link down below where you can book a free call. It's totally laid back, no pressure, no sales pitch, just some real support and hopefully some encouragement to get you moving in the right direction. So you guys don't have to do this alone if that's what's keeping you stuck. Hi friends, and welcome to the Healthy Beyond 40 show. I'm Michelle, mama of 4 and military wife, and I'm passionate about helping women get healthy from the inside out so they can feel better and live their best life. Do you feel like you're struggling to lose weight and get in shape? If you're ready to develop healthier habits, exercise consistently, and lose weight sustainably, then you're in the right place. I combine my expertise from my doctorate in physical therapy to my experience as a health coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher to bring you actionable steps for a healthy lifestyle. No magic pill here, so lace up those shoes and get moving. All right, so let's dive into this topic. I'm going to be breaking it down in 3 big chunks. And this first tip is to keep working on your mindset, emotional control through the summer. And this is really the foundation that we need for most things in our life. So even outside of our health journey, if we can have our mindset on track and have a way to regulate our emotions, we're going to do so much better. So during the summer, we want to make sure that we still have tools and time set aside to be able to work on these. Summer can really easily trigger old habits that maybe we had from when we were a child or just when we weren't really in a healthy mindset. It gets so easy to fall back onto old habits, and that is why we really need to be working on our mindset and our thoughts so that when we're placed in some of those same situations, it's not causing us to just roll back into old habits. And that can be a lot of work. I'm not saying that's easy, but when we start to do this mindset work and working on our thoughts and our emotions, it actually brings so much freedom. And sometimes it can be so easy to avoid working on this because we're thinking, well, we're like not that bad, like we're okay. Or deep down inside, we know that, it'd be really hard to feel some of those emotions or to really bring to light some of those thoughts I have. But that's where freedom comes in the light. And maybe you think that I'm on vacation, like who cares? I'll start over again in September. If we're letting those thoughts rule our whole summer, those are the results we're going to get. I'm on vacation. Who cares? I'll start over in September. That is what your summer is going to be. And so it starts with our mindset. It starts with our thoughts. And this is the really base of the work I do with a lot of clients. I meet clients where they are, but a lot of us, me included, need to work on our mindset. So I have habits for myself to work on my mindset for my marriage, for my kids, for my house, whatever's going on. I am working on those new thoughts and new truths every morning. And so that is something that I definitely will not drop over the summer. I even notice if I have sometimes 2 or 3 days where I sort of don't do my morning mindset work and sort of just letting my thoughts snowball, just in a few days, I can notice a difference. So we definitely don't want to let that slip over the summer. And if you don't have a process to do mindset work and working on your emotions, obviously you can set up that free call and do coaching with me. The other resource I have is a course called the Self-Coaching System. And it really focuses on our mindset and our emotions. And that is something that you can do at your own pace. I'll link that down in the bottom too if you guys want to check that out. That would be a great thing to do over the summer, not only for your health, but the tools that you learn in that course can be used for anything in your life. So I use a lot of those tools to work on the relationships that I have with people around me, or maybe where I have some hurt feelings. And then that really changes everything when we can change our thoughts that we have about something, and not just like putting a happy thought on something that doesn't feel happy. Like really changing our thoughts so that it feels true to us. Because we don't want to just have some affirmation or some thought that just like sounds good and we want to feel that way, but our body isn't on board. That is not the point of mindset work. That doesn't help move us forward because we're not on board. So the more that you practice showing up for yourself, the easier it's going to get. So when we can start with the right mindset, the right thoughts, being able to have tools and a space to regulate our emotions, to feel our emotions, to not stay stuck in emotions, then we're going to be able to show up for ourselves better and to be more consistent. So you can even ask yourself, like, how can I support myself at home, even when I'm on vacation? How can I enjoy myself and take care of myself at the same time? And for some people, those are going to sound like two opposite things. And that's where that mindset work comes in place. How can I enjoy myself? I'm like holding my left hand here. And on this right hand, how can I take care of myself at the same time? We need to make those things one and the same. So we need to look at the way we are taking care of ourselves, what we know our body needs, and to change our mindset that we can still take care of ourselves and enjoy ourselves at the same time. And these small mindset shifts can make a huge difference. And I'm also excited. The next 2 weeks on the podcast, there is going to be a coaching call that I did with someone. I broke it up over 2 podcasts because it was sort of long. But you're going to see some of this mindset work in the podcast that I'm doing with her, because it's just huge when we can start to shift our thoughts in a way that feels true. And also, as we're talking about emotions here, me and my husband are going through a parenting course called The Peaceful Parent, and really just to fine-tune how we interact with our kids and to really just build better relationships. And I tend to do a lot of reading and listening and learning on my own. So this was a great way for, my husband was interested in doing it. So it was a great way for us to be on board together. And I'll share the link in the course if anyone is interested. The course is geared more to our younger kids, but my youngest is 7. So I have 7, 12, 14, and 18 right now. But it's totally applicable to all ages. So I'll share that link down below. The person who wrote the course is Dr. Laura Markham. And something she said this week really stuck out at me because it brings it back to not only talking about parenting in this course, but our life. And she said, one of the reasons emotional regulation is so important. And by emotional regulations, it allows us to feel our emotions and be able to regulate them, to not be controlled by our emotions. And a lot of us, if we're feeling stuffers, which is like sort of my go-to, and that things I've been working on to not stuff. But when we stuff them, they really just build up. We're not regulating them. We're just stuffing them, and we're going to blow up later. And she also said it's important to regulate your emotions if you want to accomplish your goals. So she said, for example, if you can't get a project done at work because you keep procrastinating, that's a sign that you can't manage your own anxiety. And if you are trying to lose weight, for example, and you can't manage that impulse to eat, then again, it shows that you are having trouble soothing your own anxiety and managing those uncomfortable feelings. So our ability to reach a goal that we set for ourselves really depends on our ability to manage and regulate our own emotions. So if this isn't something that you have practiced, or you don't have tools to manage and regulate your emotions, and you're doing things that aren't in line with your goals, that could be something really helpful to dive into this summer. And it can be a really big thing. That's a lot to do, and it's something that I'm still working on. But probably over the last 10 years, I have started to work on this. One of my favorite things to do is to use EFT or emotional freedom techniques where you're doing tapping. And I teach that in my course and I use that with some of my clients, but it allows you to feel your emotion so that it can pass, so that you're not staying stuck in it. And then when you feel that emotion and you're allowing that emotion to soften, then sometimes we start to have a shift in how we're thinking about something. When we start to have that shift about how we're thinking about something, it opens us to new possibilities. Okay, so that was sort of a long tangent, but so we need to keep working on our mindset and our emotional regulation. Tip number 2 is really to make a plan when you're home. So it's so easy to just fall out of our routines and our habits when the summer hits. But even with busy schedules, we need to keep some simple structure in place. So what things can you keep the same that you have done during the school year that have supported you that you want to continue throughout the summer? So for example, most mornings I will get up and I'll do my Bible study and prayer. And then I typically do, I think for the summer, I'm going to try to do my walk in the morning, or sometimes I would do yoga or strength training, but some type of exercise or movement. So I am mostly going to keep that the same. So when we go on vacations, that may not quite happen like that, but the days that we are home, I'm going to try to keep that morning routine just the same. So I want you to think for yourself, what can you actually keep just the same to keep that form of habit and routine and structure? Like, most of us really thrive off of structure, even if some of us are like, oh, I don't want to be so rigid, or I don't like the structure. But typically, most people are going to thrive with some structure. And that doesn't mean it has to be really rigid and every hour planned out, but just some simple structure, sort of like that time block. So I don't necessarily have a time that I have to get up by. I mean, I do sort of have a goal, but I sort of have this time block. I know that whenever I get up, this is what I'm going to do, these few things first thing in the morning. So we can sort of have that structure, but without being too rigid. And I also encourage you, the days you are home, plan your workouts ahead of time, even if they're short. Put them on your calendar. Stick with your meal prepping, or maybe you haven't started this, but if we can meal prep certain things, it just helps for us to be able to stick with that healthy eating and really just have that simple weekly plan. Like, I need to plan our meals. Can we have a backup meal plan when things get crazy? So be thinking about that morning routine, thinking about your workouts and your movement and your meals. Can you try to keep as much of that stuff sort of the same, or have fallbacks that maybe simplify some of those things you're doing? So the goal is really to keep those healthy habits alive. And it's really not about staying strict, about having some of that flexibility, but really being intentional and prioritizing what is most important. And we have to have that good basis of self-care. So for me, that's my spiritual life, that's my movement, and that's my healthy eating. Because when I have those things down, I can pour out to the people around me and love them more. And I can also have fun when I know those things are good and solid and taken care of. And the same thing goes for that mindset and emotional work. I still need some time and space to work through things in my mind so that I'm thinking and feeling good. And I mentioned it on the podcast before, I'm in a coaching program myself. And that is definitely, this probably goes back more with the first tip, but that's something that I'm going to prioritize. Usually there's a group coaching call once or twice a week. So I always try to join that because it really helps to keep me on track, to keep me intentional with the goals that I have, with the mother I want to be, with the wife that I want to be, how I want to show up for people around me. It keeps me inspired, encouraged, and motivated. So thinking about what do you need to do to have that support to keep you encouraged. Like, I know that's so helpful for me to show up to those group coaching calls that there's no way I'm going to miss that all summer. I'm going to make that a priority. Now there might be where maybe there's a week I don't go. If we're on vacations, I'm not going to go, and that's okay. But I'm still going to keep that there as much as I can. So I'm being flexible within that structure I want. Okay, tip number 3 is if you guys have vacations planned, make a plan for vacations. So my family, we like to take vacations. So we take 2 or 3 vacations a year. So I really try to plan ahead and especially think about food because we have to eat and we don't want our food to just derail our whole summer or whole week. And I know I just don't feel as good if I'm not eating healthy most of the time. So I really try to plan that. So we're actually getting ready to head out on our first family vacation for summer in a few days. And so I'm going to have a meal plan in place. We're staying at a place that has a kitchen and refrigerator. And really with 4 kids, we just like try not to eat out too often. So we'll probably eat out 2 or 3 times, but most of the time we're just going to be eating there. So I'm going to be specifically thinking of like what meals are super simple because we don't want to do a lot of cooking while we're on vacation. And we currently don't have a grill. So I think the resort we're going to has a grill, so we might do hamburgers or something like that. But I want to plan this out. I want to think about this ahead of time. And this goes back to mindset. To me, I don't equate vacation with just like eating a bunch of junk food or like treating myself the whole time. And that may be a mindset that you're in because that's what you've done or that's how you've grown up. And that's where that mindset work comes into place. So for me, as I'm going on vacation, I'm not even thinking like vacation equates to having treats and junk food. To me, vacation equates to relaxing and having fun with my family. And of course, we're going to eat. So I'm going to plan that out, but I'm going to try to plan as healthy as I can. I'm going to make a meal plan ahead of time. We'll probably bring a little bit of food with us. And then I think while we're down there, we're going to go to the grocery store too, but we're going to have a plan in place, eating mostly how we eat, maybe going out to eat a couple times, but not having to go off the rails to celebrate because it's vacation. And I think it especially helps to plan to eat a healthy breakfast each day. So especially if you're with other people or you can't control your food, like how can I eat a healthy breakfast? What can I bring? And so for me, my breakfasts are pretty much going to be the same that they are now. Also, and a lot of times I feel like for summer vacations, most people are getting movement or walking around, but really making sure that you have a plan so that you can have some movement in there. And it may look a little bit different. And I always think yoga is a great thing to do on vacation because you don't need any equipment. So I don't even know if where we're going, if they have a little gym or not. But for me, I'm going to be doing some walking, and then I definitely have videos I can use to do yoga and probably some body weight strength if they don't have a gym. But I already know in my head, like, I have a plan for that. Like, it's not optional. It's not something I'm not going to do, but that's just going to be a part of it. And one thing that I do every morning that helps me stay healthy, it's super easy, and I can take it on vacation with me. And I do this on almost every trip that we do is I bring my Organifi green juice. So it's sort of my go-to. You can mix it with water. I like to also mix it with unsweetened almond milk. And then you can either squeeze lemon in it, or I've also been putting a scoop of vanilla protein powder that is unsweetened. And I like their green juice because it has a clinical dose of ashwagandha, which helps with stress and cravings. And it can also help with other things like energy and digestion. So it's a great thing that, again, it's just a habit that I'm going to keep with while I'm on vacation. And Organifi also has their Organifi Gold, which is a nice calming drink. If it's available, the pumpkin pie spice is my favorite flavor. Sometimes that goes in and out of season. But it has calming herbs like turmeric, reishi mushroom, lemon balm. So it's really just a great way to wind down at the end of the evening. And you guys can use the code HEALTHY20 to save 20% off your order. Use that code anytime you reorder to save. Usually it combines with discounts too. I use it for myself. So there will be a link down below where you can find more information about that. So as you're thinking about summer, I want you to think about balance. And how can you balance sometimes the unstructuredness of summer or those extra things that pop up with your goals? How can you still be intentional during summer? because it's not a time to just stop what you're doing. And it can be a time to start. Don't wait till the fall to start on a health journey. Start now. And so think about these different things I've talked about. We've talked a lot about mindset, emotional regulation, having a plan when you're home, having a plan on vacation. And I don't want you guys to just listen to this podcast. I want you guys to pause after this, write down some things that you need to do. Look at it on paper, prioritize it. You might have to cross some things off if you got a lot. But where do you need to start? What do you need to focus on? What intention or thought do you need to get through summer, hitting your goals and feeling good about yourself? So summer doesn't have to throw you off track. You can keep enjoying summer and keep building healthy habits you want. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So plan ahead. Give yourself some flexibility. Keep working on that mindset. It's not about being perfect, but really just trying to stay connected and intentional with the life that you want to live. And make sure you guys stay tuned for the next 2 weeks. You guys will get to hear a live health coaching call and see what it's like to have a coaching call and see what it's like to do some of this mindset work and notice the ways that I'm able to help the client see some things that they haven't been able to see. All right, friends. So keep moving. Reach out if you need support, and I'll see you next week.